Yes, we all are waiting for the Indian Economic Survey 2024, which was supposed to release on 31st January 2024. But in place of Economic Survey, we do have Indian Economic Review 2024 this time. Hello friends, welcome to the special episode of Economy. My name is Ritu and today's session is about Indian Economic Review 2024, and this report has been released by Chief Economic Advisor. So moving to the points of discussion part. First of all, we'll have a brief introduction about this particular report, and then we are going to discuss the highlight of this particular report, and we are also going to discuss the challenges which has been mentioned in this report and also opportunities ahead of India, and then practice question for prelims. So moving towards the introduction part. So who is our Chief Economic Advisor? So V. Anantha Nageswaran is our Chief Economic Advisor, who has written the preface of this particular report, and in that report he has highlighted various crucial issues and economic scenario of the country, and he has highlighted that this is not economic survey. So when in the prelims examination the question will come, you should not confuse, because this is not economic survey, and in various state examination also there will be the directly question from the economic survey and the budget. But this time we have this interim budget and also the Indian Economic Review, not the economic survey. But V. Ananth Nageswaran has also said that we'll have economic survey when there will be the conduction of the election after this April and May. So when we'll conclude the general election in April and May, after that, before the budget, we'll have an economic survey. But this time, for the time being, we don't have any economic survey. So when there will be the question related to that, whether this year will have economic survey or not, then it is going to be an economic survey for this year also, but it is after the election, and due to the election we could not release economic survey now, and that's why we are also releasing the interim budget this time. So this is the reason that we don't have economic survey this time. So this is the introduction of this particular topic. And what is the exact name of this particular report? So the exact name of the particular report is the Indian Economy, a Review. And who has released it? So V. Anantha Nageswaran has released it, and it is released by the Department of Economic Affairs, and it offers a brief sketch of the Indian economic scenario, what had happened in the last year, and how India is going to perform and tackle all the challenges which are ahead of the Indian economy. And they had also discussed about the India's economic growth, GDP growth, how India will gather the resources, and also the generation of the resources, use of AI in India's economy and also in the global economy. So this is a brief sketch of all these economic scenario. Moving to the next slide. Next slide is about the highlights. So first highlight we are going to discuss regarding the GDP. So according to this report, the GDP of India would grow by 7.2%, and this is the third consecutive time that India's GDP would grow 7.2%, despite we have a major economic shock in the era of pandemic. And it has been also predicted that it will grow by more than 7% in 2025 also. So that will be the fourth consecutive year when Indian economy will grow by the 7%. And also we do have the world economic growth rate. So when it comes to the world economic growth rate, it is just 3%. So this is the GDP growth expectation according to this report. Moving to the next slide. Next slide is about economic achievement. So as economic achievement, we have tackled very serious issues in last 3 years. We do have the pandemic issues, and not for the once. We do have 3 or 4 waves of the pandemic in our country. So India has successfully managed the COVID management, and it has a very wide plan for the vaccination, and because of that India's economy was able to recover, and we had also launched the V-shaped economic recovery, and these all initiative by government of India has turned out to be very successful, and because of that we can see the growth rate of GDP, and for the third consecutive time we are growing by 7%. On the other hand, when we see the growth rate of the whole world, it is just 3%. So we have a promising future in terms of this. And also India is the third largest fintech economy in the world after USA and UK. So this is also very important point for your prelims examination. You should also be careful regarding this fact. And India has overtaken the Hong Kong to become the fourth largest stock market of the world. So this is another important fact. And MSMEs are also growing in a very diverse manner, and they are also becoming global and dynamic also. So we have also improved in terms of MSME also, because MSMEs are the backbone of the Indian economy. So the government of India had put special emphasis on MSME by implementing various schemes to all these micro, medium and small enterprises. And by the adoption of GST and also the unification of domestic market, we do have a more tax collections drive, and we do have reduced the various cost prices, logistic cost, transportation cost, because we have unified our domestic market. So this is the economic achievement by the India. On the other hand, we have another women empowerment data. So with the PM Jan Dhan Yojana, women bank account holders have increased from 53% in 2015-16 to 78.6% in 2019 and 21. So in last 5 years, what we have seen that we have grown by more than 25%. So this is also a great achievement in terms of the women empowerment, because if they are financially stable and if they are financially sound, that is leading the path to their empowerment. And also when it comes to the women labor force participation, so it has been increased from 23.3% to 37%. So it is also, this data is of last 5 years. So we can see that we have grown about more than 15% in last 5 years. And government of India has initiated very much good initiatives like Skill India Mission, Startup India, Stand Up India, and which has created female participation in the workforce and which has empowered women in a different way. So that's why thanks to this initiatives and schemes by the government of India, so that women empowerment can be seen in the country. And also when it comes to the gross enrollment ratio, the gross enrollment ratio has also increased in India, and it has been increased from 24.5% to 58.2%. In the morning session, we had discussed about the gross enrollment ratio through the IAS report, and in that report also we had discussed that women in higher education and their gross enrollment ratio has been increased. And here also we can see that GR of the women has been increased, and they are more than 50%, which is very good sign for the women empowerment. Moving to the next one, which is digital transformation boost. So the chief economic advisor had highlighted 3 points, and the first point is the hyper globalization in the global manufacturing sector, and the second point is that we advent of artificial intelligence, and also third point is the energy transition. And they said that they can also become a opportunity for few countries, but they can also pose serious challenges. So these are the 3 important points which has been pointed out by the chief economic advisor. So here digital transformation boost. So because of the digital transformation and digital India, we do have reduced cost of the KYC, and for that we can see that more number of the accounts and empowerment through the financial inclusion. And we have also increased the internet connectivity, ability of the smartphones, laptop facilities, where we have e-Chopals in the village area. So we have increased the digital transformation and also the digital inclusion in the rural areas also. So this is the digital transformation boost by India. Moving to the next one, which is a new approach to welfare. So according to this report, what we have seen that Niti Aayog multi-dimensional poverty index, we have seen that 13.5 crore people have escaped the poverty. So it's because of the demonstrating ideal of Antyodaya, and government is trying its very much hard to distribute rations and to make people economically empowered so that they can escape their poverty. And we do have very much one nation, one ration card scheme, and we have very successful schemes, Narega schemes, which are helping the marginalized section of the society to escape the poverty. So this is also the good sign, and we have a new approach for the welfare measures. And also we have a good resources of clean water, electricity, and not we are dependent like earlier that we don't have electricity facility in the village area, internet facilities, clean toilet, clean water. We have this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and through this we can see that so many construction of toilets in the villages area, ODF free villages, so many villages has been declared. So because of that we can see the development into this sector, and also the health accounts have been also increased, and government has started spending a lot, and expenditure has been increased in the health sector, and it has become that 47.1%, and earlier it was 47.1%, but right now it is 62.6% of the total health expenditure. So we are also taking this area that government is spending in new approaches and new sectors to improve the economic conditions of the people and also to improve the standard of living. Moving to the next one, which is what are the challenges we have. So as I have pointed that we do have this hyper globalization in global manufacturing, and also the energy transition issue, and also the advent of artificial intelligence. Because advent of artificial intelligence will reduce the cost of competitiveness, and also we are living in that stage that earlier in the last decade we have seen that hyper globalization, and because of various economic and political condition right now we can see that the world is moving towards the deglobalization. But chief economic advisor had also suggested that India is prepared for all these kind of challenges, though India had set its target of zero emission index by 2070. So it is becoming it is going to be challenge journey for the India, but India is so much prepared into this direction, and it is improving into this direction. And also there will be the challenge for the whole world also, because the developed country will put pressure on the developing countries to change their energy transition, because most of the developing countries are dependent on the conservative method of fossil fuels for their energy. But due to this rising temperature and other climatic changes, the developed countries are putting pressure on the developing countries that you should change your energy thing. But this is going to be problematic for all the developed countries, because recently they are not still recovered from the recent shocks of pandemic, and we do have this global supply issues because of the Russia-Ukraine war, Middle Eastern war. And among all these circumstances, when it comes to the developing country, that whether you have to choose the economic growth or the climate change, or so first they will prefer the economic growth. So in that sense it will be very challengeful for the developing countries. On the other hand, since we are living in a global world, and we can see that Indian economic scenario is, and Indian GDP is growing by 7%, but we have also seen that world GDP is growing by 3%. And in this global world where everything is connected, so India's economic condition is also dependent on the world global condition and their economic condition. So this is also going to be challenge for the Indian economy. So these are the challenges, and we have certain geo-economic issues, geopolitical issues, supply chains, which have returned after this pandemic. So all these factors will cumulatively affect the Indian economic growth. So we have to also look for the other side of the coin. Moving to the opportunities. So India need to reform few sectors, just like the skillings, learning outcomes, health, energy security, reduction in compliance, and micro, small, medium enterprises and labor force. Because what we have seen that recently we have this assay report, and in that assay report what we have seen that because of the pandemic and because of the poor economic condition, so many students are not able to comprehend what they are learning. Suppose that if any student of the class 2, he is not able to solve the UKG question, or if any students of the class 7, he is not or she is not able to solve the class 3 questions. So there is a learning problem, there is a skilling problem. We do have a large labor force in our country, but what we have seen that they are not skilled labor. So that is another kind of the problem. And we have seen that the labor force participation of women are increasing, but still we have a long way to gender balance these things. So these are the opportunities where India had to work and where India had to reform. So moving towards the practice question for prelims. According to Indian Economic Review 2024, the GDP of India would grow by 7.2%, 3%, 4.2%, 5.9%. So I hope you like this session. If you have any queries related to this session, kindly ask in the comment section, and like, share and subscribe to the Drishti IAS channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.